Hello, my friends. How are you? It's me, Teacher Jalila Abdussalam from English Compound Zone. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a very important idea in English grammar, uh, the present simple tense or the simple present tense. This is very basic, very fundamental, and very important at the same time. I have prepared this lesson as PowerPoint presentation. I hope you will enjoy it with me. So if you like my lesson, please subscribe to my channel and like my video. I need your support and thanks in advance. From the very beginning, this is only a cover page for the lesson. Then the second slide I will show you the lesson. This is from the very beginning. This is the cover page, the present simple or the simple present tense. We can say this or that, both are correct. Then I have a table of content. This to say these are the items, the ideas, the minor ideas I'm going to talk about or to explain within the present simple tense. A very important idea I wanted to explain for you. This tense is made or intended from for which stages from the upper intermediate school till the university level. So it's a very important, it's a complete idea, it's a whole explanation, and I hope we will enjoy it together. Let's move to the next slide. This is a plan for my colleagues, for teachers. This is an empty one. It can be applied to any lesson. And this is the same plan, but for the present simple only. This is also for a teacher. But starting from here, we are going to start our lesson from the very beginning. What is the meaning of the present simple tense or the simple present? We use the present simple to indicate or to show or to express an action. And we mean by actions in English the verbs like, for example, come, go, play, whatever, that goes in the present as a fact or as a habit. The present simple is sometimes called the present indefinite. What do we mean by the present indefinite? Indefinite means when we use the present simple to describe actions that are repeated regularly. I mean habits in the present. I mean regular repeated actions, so they have indefinite nature. That's why we call the tense present indefinite. So let's have the timeline of the present simple. Before we have the past and after we have the future, and in the middle we have the present. The present means something that's going on in the present tense or in the present time. Move to the second one or the next slide. What about the form? How do we form the present simple? Present simple form, we use the base form of the verb, the root of the verb, or the infinitive without to. We know that the verbs in English have three forms. Form one or verb one, this is the present simple. Form two or verb two, this is the past simple. And form three or verb three, this form is used, or this shape of the verb is used with it is called the past participle, and it is used with the perfect tenses. But here, the present simple is the base form of the verb, like go, like play, like read. This is an infinitive without to, because usually we have the verbs. When I say what is the base form of the verb play, it's to play. Go, it's to go. So without to, we have play, go, read, study, write, whatever verb. This is the base form of the verb. It is called the present simple. But the verb here take two shapes. The verb may take S or may be without S. That's to say, may have a final ending with S or no S at the end. When the verb does not take S, the verb doesn't have an S at the very beginning, at the very end, or as a suffix if the subject is I or they or we or you. That's to say plural noun, plural pronoun, or I and you at the same time. Like I play football. I play, no ending. My friends, this is a noun plural. Read, no end at the same time. But sometimes the verb takes s or es at the very end as a suffix. Mainly if the verb is conjugated or if the subject of the sentence is a third person subject singular pronoun like he, she, or it. Mainly he, she, or it. Or a noun. Like for example, we can say a cat it, a boy he, a girl she. So we can say, for example, the cat runs. This is final S in the verb after the mouth. We say she eats. This is eat, eats. This is final S in the verb. She eats a sandwich, for example. So the verb takes final S if the subject is a third person and singular pronoun, like he, she, and it. Sometimes the verb doesn't end in s but ends in es. When can we add es to the verb? We add es to the verb mainly if the verb ends in s or ss or sh or ch or x or z. These are only yes. These are only s or ss or sh, ch, x, o, or z. Like for example, a verb like wash ending in sh. So we can say he washes, she washes. A verb like watch ending in ch, watches, she watches. A verb like go, say he goes, she goes. Okay? And others. In all cases, in all cases, whether s or es, the subject must be he or she or it, a third person singular pronoun, or a noun third person singular. Okay, now we finish how to form the present simple or the simple present. But we have some writing rules to talk about. What are these rules? First of all, some verbs like carry, like hurry, these verbs end in y. If a verb ends in the letter y, in the consonant y, but the y is preceded, preceded means what is before, preceded by a consonant. We have to change the y into I when adding s. Into I, then add es. So we can say, for example, carry. When you see the boy carries, carry, C-A-R-R-Y. But when we try to add s here, because the subject is the boy, change the y into I, then add es, because the y is preceded by the consonant R, like hurry, like others. If the verb ends in y and the y preceded by another consonant, or there is a consonant before the y, like R, S, T, V, and others. Change y into I, then add es. Let me remind you with the consonant and the vowels. The vowels in English mainly A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U, mainly. And the other letters are called consonants, like S, T, V, B, B, P, and others. So if the verb ends in Y, preceded by a consonant, change Y into I, then add ES. Only if the subject is he, she, or it. If the subject is he, she, or it. So suppose the verb ends in Y, but there is a vowel before the Y, like the verb play. We have as, that is A or A. This is a vowel before Y. No change at all. We just add S. So we say he plays. Just we add S here and no change within the Y at all. So when we change the Y, only if it is preceded by a consonant. But if it is preceded by a vowel, no change at all. In all cases, whether IES or S, the subject the subject must be one of the three, he, she, or it, or a noun that indicates the pronoun. Then we come to a very important idea about the present simple tense. What is this idea? The uses. How do we use the present simple? Or what are the uses of the present simple tense? We use the present simple tense for a variety of purposes, for a lot of purposes. Number one, we use the present simple to express a fact, and I mean by fact, scientific fact. Do I mean by scientific fact something or truth that is acceptable, believed in all parts of the world? Like, for example, we see this is, and remember, this is present fact. Like when I say, for example, the earth revolves the sun. Asia is a continent, is a verb in the present simple. Revolve is present simple. It's icy in Antarctica, is also in a present simple verb. Water composes 75% of the human body. Composes, this is a present simple verb. So we can say these facts are truth, acceptable, believed in all parts of the world. So this is the first use, to express facts, scientific facts in the present. And the second use of the present simple or the simple present is to express a fact, but about the speaker, about someone who is speaking, or about someone in general. Like if I say, for example, I like to eat apples. So like here is a simple present. This is the fact about me. I like to eat apples. I live in Paris. This is another fact about me. I'm talking. This is another fact about me, about the speaker. So the second idea or the second use of the present simple is to express facts or truth about the speaker, about someone. And then number three, the present simple is used in the zero condition. Zero conditional, when we use the F clause, present simple, present simple. Present in the conditional, present in the result, present in the cause, and present in the effect. In this time, we express facts also using F. Like when we say, for example, if water gains heat, it evaporates. If water gains, look at the verb gains. This is simple present with a third person noun, that's water. So it takes S. Water gains. It evaporates. This is also present simple. And because we have it, the verb takes S as final suffix. So present simple, this is zero condition because F here expresses a fact. In all parts of the world, in any place, if water gains heat, it evaporates. If we raise the temperature of water, it evaporates. Yes, this is a fact. And also in the first conditional. In the first conditional, that is possibility in the present. The first conditional, that gives a possibility about the present. Like, for example, if I say, if she trains well, she will win the game. So what is the reason she trains, and what is the effect will win? What is the present symbol that is trains with the F clause? If she trains, and she, third person pronoun, singular, it takes the verb with final S. If she trains. So the third use of the present symbol is in the zero conditional, present simple with F, and in the first conditional, present simple F, and then will or future simple in the effect or the second part. Still with the uses of the present simple. And we have number four. The fourth use of the present simple is to express habits And what do I mean by habits? And I have to say, present habits, these are actions repeated regularly, repeated very often. Um, like, for example, I usually take my lessons online. What is the habit here? We use the adverb of frequency that is usually to express the meaning of the habit here. This means it's my habit nowadays, these days, in the present, to take my lessons online. So I'm accustomed to do that. So I usually do that. So I often do that. I always do that when the verb is repeated very often in the present. This is called a habit. How do we express these present habits? We use the present simple. And then we have also the present simple is used to express the future. This is not expected. No, it is expected and it is known at the same time. Why? We use the present simple to give an idea or to indicate or to express the future under one condition. If the future is scheduled, the future action is scheduled, if it is a timetable, if it is a fixed appointment, like like the appointments of trains, of hospitals, of buses, of ships, regular flights, school timetables, bank tables or timetables, and so on. So if you have timetables, these are times, these are actions, these are verbs are done in a fixed manner for a long time. So we use the present simple to talk about. If I say, for example, the train leaves at 5 o'clock. Suppose, for example, now it's 1 p.m. The train will leave at 5 p.m. So what do we say? The train leaves. The verb leave here is in the present simple and final S. We use the present simple to express the future. The verb hasn't started yet. Yes. Why? Because this is a schedule. Trains has schedules, has timetables. 5 o'clock train, 2 o'clock train, 3 o'clock train, or whatever. So these are fixed appointments. These are stable actions to be done for a long time in a perfect way, in a timetable, in a schedule. So we use the present symbol as a fact. We use the present symbol to express the future here. I hope this idea is clear for you. So we use the present simple to express a fact about a scientific fact, in the present, a fact about the speaker, about someone, regular habits or actions in the present, and also to express the future, but if it is scheduled, timetable, and so on. And then this is the last use of the present simple to give directions. To give directions. Suppose, for example, I'm going to a place and I don't know, for example, I say, please, a passerby, please tell me how to go to the bank. Any bank, I say, you will tell me you can go up along the street or along the street or along this way, and then you will reach the bank or the pizza restaurant or whatever place I'm going. So go up, go down, turn left, turn right, go forward, go backward, have a U-turn, and so on. These are directions. So we use the present simple to give directions. So we have 5 main uses for the present simple. Still, we have some ideas to be discussed about the present simple, semi-present. We have the helping verbs. What about the helping verbs? We have one main helping verb here for the present simple, that is verb to do. Verb to do here has 2 shapes, is either do or does. Either do or does. Do with no ending and it does with final S, mainly ES. So when do we use do? We use do if the subject is I, they, we, you. I do, they do, we do, you do. But for does, if the subject is a third person, singular pronoun or a noun, instead, like he does, the boy does, she does, the girl does, it does, the dog or the cat or the elephant or whatever does. So we have do and does and remember well, when we use do or does, whether in a negative form or in a question, whether in a negative form or in a question about the present simple, they must be followed by verbs infinitives. They must be followed by infinitive form of the verb. No ending? Yes. No ending, teacher? Yes. No ending at all. So we can say both are followed by infinitive forms of the verb, like, for example, how does the girl run about the track? How does the girl, because we have the girl, this is the third person noun, we use does. And look at run, this is a base form without to. The girl, she runs, so we use does. If we say the girl is, if the noun is plural, we'd say how do the girls run around the track. In all cases, whether do or does, there must be an infinitive form after the verb. Move to the next slide. If we wanted to change a verb in the present simple into a negative form, very shortly, if we wanted to change a verb into a negative form, we use either do not plus the infinitive form or does not plus the infinitive form. When do not and when does not. A present simple verb that ends in s, like walks, like goes, like reads, like runs, whatever verb ends in s, change into negative, does not or doesn't as a short form, plus the infinitive form. So we can say walks, doesn't walk, plays, doesn't play, reads, doesn't read, and so on. But if the verb has no s ending, no final s, do not plus the infinitive. So we can say walk, don't walk, run, don't run, play, don't play, and so on. And in all cases, as I have said before, if we use, in any case, we use do or does, do not or does not, they must be followed by infinitive forms. They must be followed by infinitive forms without to. Then we come to a very important idea, not only within the present simple, but in grammar as a whole. How to form a question. How to form a question. You see, we have two types of questions. We have informative questions, question for information, and we have yes or no question. We have two types of questions in English. We have questions for information, or we can see informative questions, and then we have questions for to be answered yes or no, say yes or no questions. As for the question for information, I here ask about specific idea, specific thing, say, within the sentence. Whether I'm asking about a place, a time, someone's name, whatever, a reason, whatever. So I'm asking about a specific idea within a sentence, and here I have to use a question word, and after some time, or maybe two slides, I will discuss with you most of these question words we use about the time, about the place, about people, whatever. So let's take an example and then show how can we form a complete question in the present simple. This idea is for any question in English, but here we concentrate on the present simple as we use do or does here for the helping verb. So this is the difference between present simple and all other tenses. This is the use of the helping verb and the shape of the main verb. So I concentrate mainly here on the present simple. Let's take the example. For example, let's say the children play football on Fridays. The children play football on Fridays. A very good tip by me, and I give you a very strong piece of advice here. When you have any sentence in English, try to analyze the sentence. What do I mean by analyze the sentence? Yes, um, try to break it down into its main parts. So what is the subject of the sentence? Identify the main verb of the sentence, and then the object, if it has an object, if it has a complement, whatever. So we can say the children, this is the subject of the sentence. Play, this is the verb one. This is the main verb of the sentence. Section of the verb here has only one word, that's play. And remember, the verb is a whole part of the sentence. It may be formed by one word only with the present simple, or more than one word with other all tenses in English. And then we have football. This is a direct object or object one, and on Friday, this is a complement of the sentence. So I wanted to ask about the word Fridays. What's Fridays? It is something, it is inanimate, people, places, things, a time, a distance, like that. Yes, it's a time. Friday is a time. How can I ask about the time in English? I use the word when. When to ask about the time. So let's form a complete question here. We say, when do the children play football? When do the children play football? What about when? This is the question word. This is the complete form now, step by step. Question word. Then we have do. This is the helping verb, and we take do because the verb mainly has no S ending, play. And then the children, this is the object of the sentence. Number 4, play. This is the main verb. Number 5, football. This is the object. And if we have a complement, not an object, we add any complement to the sentence, we add at the very end. If we don't have, we stop it here. And then finally we have the question mark. So number 1, a question verb. Number 2, a helping verb, a suitable helping verb. And then we have the subject of the sentence and the main verb of the sentence, and then any complement or an object of the sentence, and finally we have the question mark. This is a complete form of a sentence, whether in the present or in any other tense. So this is a complete form of a question in English. I have written 1, 2, 3, 4 to number the words, and then I give a short form like Q word or HV or S or MV, whatever, and then I give you under the full form is. I say, for example, Q word means the question word. HV means helping verb. S for the subject. MEV for the main verb. O for the object. Q mark means a question mark. So I hope this is clear for you. The second part, the second kind of question, the yes or no question. It's very easy. It is the same form without the question word at the very beginning. Without the question word at the very beginning. So follow the rule. You have do or does, and then the subject, then the main verb, then the object, then the complement of the sentence, then the question mark. Like for example, she studies English in the afternoon. Does she study English in the afternoon? We mainly need here to say, yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. We say, for example, the children watch TV. Do the children watch TV? Yes, they do. No, they don't. Mother cooks food in the kitchen. Does mother cook food in the kitchen? Yes, she does, or no, she doesn't. So just we add do, does, then the subject, and then the main verb, then complete the sentence, and finally and with a question mark. And remember, my friends, to use do if the verb has no final s, does if the verb has a final s, or a suffix final s. I hope this is clear up to now with the present simple. Then, when we say that we ask about different parts in the sentence, we can, what if we ask about a person? It is different if we ask about a place. It is different if we ask about inanimate or animate, a distance, whatever. I say, for example, if we ask about a person or animate, about people, we use who. See, for example, father is at work. So ask about father, who is at work. If we ask about a place, we use where. See, for example, I live in Paris. So where do you live? Asking about a reason or a cause, we use why. I say, for example, I go to work to gain money. So why do you go to work like that? Asking about the time, we use when. When I say I go to work at 8 in the morning or at 8 a.m., when do you go to work? Asking about the manner of doing something, we use how. I say, for example, I play the piano perfectly. So how do you play the piano? Perfectly. Asking about anything, any animate, whether something, whether an animal, we use what. Say, for example, this table is um, expensive. What is expensive? And here it asks about a subject. I write with a pen. What do you write with? A pen. Then when we ask about choice, or ask you to choose about two things or more, we use which. Like if I say, for example, which pen is yours, the red or the blue? You have to choose to say the blue, for example. And then we ask about people, but if we ask about the object of the sentence, I said before, father is at work. So who is at work? Father, this is the subject of the sentence. But if I say, for example, I live with my parents, I live with my parents. Parents, this is a noun indicating people. It's about people. But this is an object of the sentence. This is an object, not a subject. So I can say, whom do you live with? With whom do you live? Whom do you live with? I live with my parents. Or with whom do you live? I live with my parents. Like that. And then if we ask about, I ask you to describe something, say, for example, we use what kind, say, what kind of clothes do you wear? Say, I wear cotton clothes, I wear leather clothes, I wear wool clothes. If this is the kind of something. We ask about the time, we use when, and we use what time. Say, I go to work at 8 a.m. When do you go to work? At 8 a.m. What time do you go to work at 8 a.m.? Asking about a number of something, we use how many. So how many apples do you have? I have 5 apples, countable noun. How many? 5, 3, 4 million, countable. And about the amounts, uncountable nouns, we use how much. Like for example, how much water do you have? I have much water, a lot of water, little water, like that. Then, if we ask you about the length of time or the length of a place, for example, we use how long. Says, for example, how long is your table? It is 50 centimeters long. I say, for example, how long is it between, for example, Paris and London? It is how many hundreds between them? And how long also is it to ask about the time within the perfect tenses? Like, for example, how long have you been in London? I have been in London for 5 years, 6 years. This is a span of time. It asks about time in the perfect tenses, like present perfect, past perfect, present perfect continuous, future perfect, and others. Then we have one which is very famous for us here in the present simple. This is how often. We use how often to ask about frequency, consistency of a verb. How many times the verb is repeated? We use how often. Say, for example, I always drink coffee in the morning. So, how often do you drink coffee in the morning? I always, I usually, I often, I never. So, how often asks about the frequency, consistency of a verb? How many times the verb is repeated in a given time? In a given time or a given span of time? Then, if we ask about the distance, how far is it between two places, for example, we use how far is it between your work and your house. You can say it's 2 kilometers between them, it's 5 kilometers, whatever. And then if we ask about people's ages, we ask how old are you? I'm 7, I'm 8, I'm 30, I'm 40 years old, whatever. And if you ask about the reason, you can say why, as we have said before, and we have how come. But how come is a little informal. Like if I say, for example, I spilled the milk. You see, how come? How come means how did you do this? Or why did you do this? This is about the reason. So these are the most famous WH words in English, or WH question words in English, to um, ask about a piece of information within the sentence. The next is a very important idea about the present simple tense. That is the adverbs of frequency. What do we mean by adverbs of frequency? The word frequency means constancy of a verb, the repetition of a verb in a given time or a span of time. How many times the verb is repeated? These adverbs are used in the present simple because the present simple is used to express or to describe or to give ideas about present habits. Habits are repeated regularly. So this repetition means frequency. It means, so we use these adverbs. These are adverbs of time, adverbs of frequency, time adverbs also to express how many times the verb is repeated. So if the verb repeated all the time, we use always, and you can say always or always. Both are correct. Always America, always British. Both are correct. All the time, always, nearly all the time, usually 90%. And then we have most of the time, we have normally or generally, and then a good time, often or frequently, half of the time, sometimes, and little time, we have occasionally, very little time, seldom, rarely, hardly ever, the three, seldom, rarely, hardly ever, very little time. And then no repetition at all, we have never. No repetition at all, we have never. Let me give you an example. If I say, for example, I play football every day. I always play football. So always here, we have 7 days in a week, 365 days in a year. The verb is repeated every day. But if I say I usually, maybe 6 times or 7, I do. That is, I play football. Then we go fewer times with normally, then fewer with often, fewer. But if I say I rarely play football, this means within 1 month I may play just one time. And if I say I never play football, this means The verb is never he, the verb is never repeated, the verb never occurs. So I don't know about football, I don't like to play football at all. So we have to remember that these adverbs of frequency, we have always start with always. The verb is repeated all the time, and end with never. The verb has no repetition at all. So always is so never is a negative form for always. It is a negative form for always. And say, for example, she always studies English in the afternoon. If we wanted to change this sentence into negative, we'll say she never. Simply cut always and write never. Simply substitute always with never. So again and again, I will assure the same idea for you. The word never is a negative form for the word always, because always is 100% repetition, a whole repetition, but never no repetition at all. So when can we put the adverb, like sometimes, occasionally, frequently, these adverbs? When can we put them? In a sentence, within a sentence, the adverb has three places, or it can occur in three places. Number one, at the very beginning of the sentence, and in this time, it's an introduction to the sentence, and we put a comma after, like, for example, sometimes, and we pause for a very short time here for the comma. I listen to romantic music. The second position. So the first position at the very beginning of the sentence followed by a comma. The second position before the main verb of the sentence, and after verb to be, am or is or are, if it is the main verb of the sentence. Like, for example, she always studies English in the afternoon. I usually play computer games. I never go out on Fridays, for example. She is always a clever girl. He is usually at home by the evening, and so on. So before the main verb and after verb to be. And after that, we have final position. This is at the very end of the sentence, like I write my homework often. So at the very beginning, before the main verb and after verb to be, or at the very end of the sentence. And then after that, I get you verb to be in the present simple. Verb to be in the present simple, that is am, or as, or are. Am only with I, or say I am. It can have a short form I am. He, she, or it is. A short form here, cancel I and just add the apostrophe. So he's, she's, etc. So what is the difference between he is and he's, between I am and I am? I am, two words. I am, one word. He is, two words. He is, one word. We are, you are, they are, where, you're, there. And if we change it into negative, we simply add not after the verb. Am, not, is, not, are not. And remember well here that the word not can be abbreviated, can be a short form, in a short form, with is or are, but with am no. It can't be changed into a short form. So I am not. I am not. I am not in complete form. But if we say, for example, he is not, he is not, or he isn't, we change not into a short form. The same is true with are, but am no. Remember, not cannot be abbreviated with am. This is very important here to know about. What about verb to have in the present simple? And why do I choose verb to be, verb to have? Because verb to have also is a verb. Verb to have also is a verb is an irregular verb in English. So we have two forms of verb to have. We have either have or has. We have either have or has. So when can we use have and when can we use has? Have with I, they, we, you. So I have, they have, we have, you have. And has, he, she, and it. So we say he has, she has, it has. And if we want to change them into negative, simply, this is a present simple verb. We have with no ending, so it will be don't have. So I don't have, they don't have, we don't have. If we have has the shape of the verb is different because it is irregular, but mainly it is conjugated with he, she, or it. So how can we change it into negative? We say doesn't have. So have doesn't with the base form that is have. So she doesn't have, it doesn't have, he doesn't have. And if we wanted to change into a question, if I say, for example, she has a long hair. So, does she have a long hair? He has brown eyes. Does he have brown eyes? Yes, he has. No, yes, he does. No, he doesn't. I have a long, for example, dress. Do you have a long dress? Yes, I do. No, I don't. And so on. Here is a full explanation and a lot of examples you can read. And I hope you understand up to now. This is very important idea to talk about the present simple, also related to the present simple, modals in the present simple. Modals are group of words group of verbs in English that perform multitasks, but at the same time they are irregular. So mainly I'm talking here about can, will, may, and ought to. Can, will, may, and ought to. What about can? Can in the present form, and it is equivalent to, it is equal to, am able to, is able to, or are able to. And if we wanted to change into negative, can, cannot, or can't in a short form. What is the use of the can? Can be used to express present ability. I can read English well. I'm able to read English well. He can play football. He is able to play football. They are good at English. They are able, they are good at reading English. They are able to read English. This is the first one. To express present ability can also be used for a permission or for a request. And what is the difference between permission and request? Permission, I ask someone to let me do something. The speaker asks another one to let him or her do something. But a request, I ask others to do something for me. I ask others to do something for me. So for example, as an example for the permission, I say, can I open the window? Yes, you can, or no, you can't. Can I read the lesson? Yes, you can, no, you can't. As for the request, please, teacher, can you re-explain again the lesson again? Yes, I will, or yes, with pleasure, or no, I can't, like that. This is a request. Can also is used for present deduction, strong, but not a completely strong deduction, but say, for example, the 80%, if I am 80% sure about a result or something, I use can. So, for example, this can be a cat. I can hear its meow, like that. And also, can is used to express a future possibility, like, for example, it is cloudy, it can rain. So can here for the possibility I expect, it is possible, probably, perhaps, all here. And then we have will. Will can be used in the same way exactly as can, but will is not used for deduction, for a future possibility, for a request, for a permission, for Like that, yes, we use will, but not for deduction now. Will in a negative form, will not or won't. And will is used in the same way as shall, but what is the difference between shall and will? Shall is only used with I and we, first person, singular and plural. I shall, we shall. Will is with any pronoun, I, he, she, it, whatever pronoun, but shall is related with I and we only. We can say, before we forget here, all modals are followed by verbs infinitive without to. All modals are followed by verbs infinitives without to. Then we have must, and must here in the present form. Must is used to express obligation, very strong obligation in the present, like you must study for your exam. This means that if you don't study, you will be punished. And there must also a very strong deduction in the present. If I say, if I am 100% sure about something, I use must in the present. I say, for example, this must be your father. I can see him well, so I know your father and I can see him. So I'm sure he is, so he must be. And then we have may, and the may will oppositely have may not, and no short form here, no may not. And may also is used in the same way as well and can, but may is we can say more formal, more polite for requests and permissions. And what is more and more polite than may might the best form of it. Then we have O2. O2 has only one form, one shape. It doesn't have any past at all. This verb, and also it's followed by to, or followed by then an infinitive form. O2 is used to give a strong advice. It's more stronger than should, but at the same time, it's less stronger than must. To say must is used to give very strong advice in the present, but or a piece of advice in the present. But ought to is also used to give a piece of advice to somewhat strong, but not completely strong one. Like I say, you ought to have healthy food to be well, or to be good, or to be healthy. This is a piece of advice you can take or you cannot take. But if I say you must, so this is a very, very strong advice, piece of advice. Then after that, and finally, I give you some assignment pieces or different assignments. Sometimes you will add S or ES to the verb and remember the rule. Sometimes you will form questions. Sometimes you will use the word does. And remember also all the rules, study well all the rules before answering your questions. Then you have some choice questions. Then you have sometimes you have to add do not or does not. Here you are going to write questions to the underlying rules as I did before. Like for example, Ben sleeps 8 hours before that every day. So what about 8 hours? This is a number. How do we ask about number? We use how many. I can say, for example, how many hours does Ben sleep every day? How many hours does Ben sleep every day? And remember, we use how many to ask about the number because our 8 here is a number, and we use does because the verb has an S final, and when we use does, we use the verb without S. So how many hours does Ben sleep? No S final every day. The others go like that. I hope you enjoy my lesson. If you enjoy my lesson, please um, please subscribe to my channel and subscribe to the channel and like my video. I do need your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching and goodbye.